it's time for KOVA to come up against Finest. Now, Finest, they are 2-0 so far in the 2 weeks they played. They haven't won a series flawlessly yet, but KOVA are also looking to make a name for themselves in Stage 2, narrowly missing out on playoffs at last stage, of course. They're going to be looking to take down one of the biggest contenders to move into the next playoffs. But before we get into all that, I'm Twiggy. I'm joined once again by Got Moxie. How you doing, Vicky? What are your thoughts about this series?
Oh, this is the series that I've been looking forward to the most, Twiggy, because Finest, they like running a little bit of a wacky composition coming on for, right? There's a reason in the interview in the previous matchup where Kix was singled out, and Kix is a very strong player, especially on Bind. We've seen a little emergence of Yoru coming on out, and he has been very effective at using those blind sides, being able... Oh!
I love a bit of Yoru. What can I say?
Just a little bit of Yoru.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. No, exactly. You're right. 100%. Yoru is a really interesting one coming through. We don't see him too often here, although I absolutely love seeing him. He's probably my favorite kind of duelist to see come into a game. He's just so out of left field, and he can bring out so many interesting plays. I think if you're a really good Yoru, you can really make him work. But obviously, you're coming up against Jets, and you're coming up against Neons now are starting to come into meta. Chamber is one of the duelists that we would consider so meta right now, and it's difficult to try and run a duelist like that because you know you're missing out on a little bit of the firepower of those more common duelists, and how do you work around that?
Yeah, and for KOVA, it really is a big old question of how do you work around these really weird compositions coming on through, because I believe it was the matchup against Heat, actually, where they ran into both the Yoru, but also then on the onto the next map, it was actually Monstrum who was picking up the Fade, and this is something that they struggled with. They are very good at bursting up against viable compositions where they're expecting them, they're scrimming against them, they're preparing for them, but when things take an unexpected turn, KOVA can take a little bit too long to be able to really sort of adjust in to how that's going to switch up how things play, especially on maps like Greece. They can really struggle getting onto the A side, trying to punish things like a Chamber if there is a Yoru playing bodyguard behind.
Well, here are the lineup for KOVA. Formed not too long ago, but definitely, you know, in remembrance time, just before I think the Valorant regional leagues were announced here. Shed, Vicious, Sutma, Ale, and Jesmond. Obviously, a scary team. Although they didn't quite make the impact they wanted last stage, I do think they're a team capable of some incredible stuff. I mean, they won out their first series, and they did lose quite in almost surprising fashion. I think it was to Heat last week, but I'm definitely expecting to see something good from them come out of this one.
Yeah, they were obviously one of the bigger tragedies of Split 1, one win away from being able to qualify into that top 4, and they are coming back into Split 2. It's the same roster, it's still the same synergy coming on out, and you really can see the level of trust that these guys have in each other. And it is, like, this is a team that it should be their moment, right? The big obstacles in the way in Split 1 where we were talking about, oh, Alliance and Tundra who had just picked up Yonk, 10-Star, all of these teams that had pretty much already, in our minds as well as Excel, nailed those top 4 spots. Now it's a lot more open in Split 2 and KOVA can really creep their way up. Challenge, yes, we saw that they did run into a problem with Heat, but again, it was the sort of unexpected outcome. And it is very much going to be a question of, are we going to see KOVA being able to adapt quickly and land on their feet and really be able to roll with the punches that Finest throw towards their face, or are they going to be KO'd?
Well, they're going to be taking some pretty heavy punches. They're going to be coming up against Finest. They have not lost a series so far. They're a pretty fearsome team. They've got a fearsome fan base. I think they are definitely a team that is going to get into the playoffs, but we'll have to wait and see for that. If they beat out KOVA on this one, they're going to be well on their way with a 3-0 series win rate.
Yeah, we said the name Tundra. Some players and people in the audience will know them previously as Yonk. This was the team that Tundra had signed and then taken into their arms, and this is actually 3 of their players who are sticking around in the form of Bonka, Mishkina, and Yasin. And Yasin is a monster. I can still remember maps where this guy just popped off uncontested on the Jet with an operator and was just tearing through all of those teams. It really does go to show what that duelist role can bring to the table, but Kix is the one that you have to watch out for, because Finest, they pull some shenanigans. with their compositions, and I think it is going to be a bigger question of whether finalists are going to rock the boat and roll out with that Yoru, or whether KOVA are going to go for the insta-ban of Bind and find themselves on a less than favorable map.
Yeah, you're going to recognize a lot of these names if you were watching VCT last year. Bonka, you've seen, obviously. You're going to recognize, but all of these guys, star-studded, and Kicks and Destructive are two players that they brought in that are just absolutely brilliant, that complement the team so well, and there's just a wealth of experience in the top flight of Valorant in this team, so there's no surprise so far to me that they are doing so well. I definitely think they're going to be coming through like a steam train.
Yeah, we say roll the punches. It's definitely going to be a couple of kicks thrown in there for good measure. I've got the Yoru summoning circle out the back. You guys can't see it. It's slightly out of camera, but I've got my fingers crossed for it, Twiggy.
Yeah, I really want to see Yoru come out once again. I love seeing him played. No, you know, he's just an interesting duelist to come out. Like in other ways where, you know, Reyna is, you know, impactful, impactful. Obviously, you've got different playstyles for all of them, but Yoru is so different from any other duelist in the way that none of them really bring out. His big kit is based around fakes and based around kind of playing mind games with the opposition, and that's what I find so interesting about it, is because you don't need to play him a certain way. You don't need to play him aggressively like a Jett or like a Reyna or like a Neon. You can play him however you want, and I really want to see it come out.
Yeah, I mean, he's sort of a mishmash between, if you think about it, a lot of those duelist roles, but also, yeah, I know, like Fusion Heart.
Oh, yeah, the wrong way, but yeah, hold on.
That's like, yeah. No, like trying to get the arms in frame, like this is a very small, no, there we go.
You know what, let's just give up on that one. I think that's, you know, too much silliness. It's quite hot here. We were both talking about how it's insanely hot in our rooms. I've got a studio here that for everything that you can't see on camera is completely black, so it just soaks up the sunlight coming in through the windows, and it's lovely. It's nice and warm in here, about 30 degrees, and she's in a box. She's in a person-sized box. I probably wouldn't fit in there. That's how small it is.
Yeah, in Sweden, in summer with a woolen sweater. Decisions were made. I was very British, and I was like, yeah. Sweden, there's a lot of snow in Sweden, right? Let's pack wool.
Yeah, it's Scandinavia. It's cold. That's how it works. Let's pack for the, you know, get in some nice stuff. Luckily, I'm at home. I can put as many, you know, revealing clothes as I want on and be absolutely fine with it, and my curtains are drawn and everything. Didn't have curtains in my old place.
Hey, now you've got blinds.
Exactly.
That's
I've got a way to stop my neighbors from watching me cast, which is a newly found wonder to me. It's amazing. You know, not having people judge me for standing up in front of my computer for 6 hours talking to absolutely nothing. Yeah, that's fun.
See, now if they want to watch you, they have to add to the viewer count.
Yeah, exactly. And everybody should be watching right now. Obviously, everybody here is watching. Go tell your friends. Get everybody in. It's Finest versus KOVA. This is actually probably going to be one of the most exciting games of the group stage, I think. You know, these are two teams that I'm incredibly excited to see come up against each other. They've got some great talent on both sides, so bring everybody in. Get it. I don't care if you have to embarrass yourself by saying you play Valorant or you watch Valorant or whatever to anybody. I know it's an embarrassing hobby, but let's just take it as it is and bring everybody in. Have some fun times. Get on a watch party. Go, you know, join a Discord call with your friends. Get everybody to watch some Polaris, because it is definitely going to be a cracker of a series.
Yeah, and I mean, if you can't just afford to watch it live, maybe, you know, you have an engagement, maybe you have to step away from your PC, you can catch all of the action. It's all recorded up and scheduled on that YouTube channel, so be sure to catch a couple of those archive VODs too. KOVA versus Heat it was a good match. It was
Absolutely. Well, we're going to have a quick delay, a little bit of a delay before we get into game, but we do have some interesting stuff for you to look at, some bright lights for you to get. Oh, shiny. So we have some stats. We were just talking a bit about, you know, kind of the changes to that Yonk kind of setup, so we're going to take a look at Kix' stats here. Take a look exactly what kind of impact he's been bringing to the team, because honestly, absolutely amazing. Average ACS of 229. That says exactly everything you need to know.
Yeah, the guy is having some absolutely monstrous runs coming in and playing some very unexpected compositions, right? Because a lot of these teams, they're scrimming, they know setups. That's something that's really punishing now at the moment. The fact that if you see something like a Jett and you know they've got the Blade Storm, you're like, okay, well, there's an updraft spot there, so we can track where they're going to be without having to invest things like the Sentinel utility. We saw it in the previous matchup, right? Where we would see the 0 point coming through onto Pizza, so that the KO would try and track where that jet was. That's something that Kix is able to actually play around with, that Yoru being in very unexpected moments, being able to pop up through, and then also being able to dabble between being very passive, but also being very defensive, anchoring onto the site, getting a lot of value, just being there, forcing these teams to invest a lot of that utility to be able to actually try and break into these sites. Because while we failed our Dragon Ball transformation, Kix did not fail how to play back sites. He uses the gate crash extremely effectively with that TP ability, putting it all the way up into the front line sometimes, or all the way into the back line, so that you can see where it's positioned. You know that the Yoru can hop between the two, and you still have to worry about the blind side. So it's like you're walking in to a Sky with the flashes, but a chamber with the Rendezvous, who can get out entirely unpunished.
Well, let's take a look at the map veto, because as much as the players are going to decide exactly what's going to happen, we need to see what kind of stage they're going to be playing that on. That's going to make all the difference with the strategies. So here we go. We're going to take a look at exactly what everybody has picked. Taven once again for our first map, but this time Fracture is not going to be denied from us.
Oh, be still, my heart. It has stopped, Twiggy. Finest themselves chose to ban out Bind.
Yeah.
That's very interesting, because in the previous matchup that KOVA had against H2O, they actually banned Bind of their own volition. So Finest, once again, just being very sort of strange, throwing a lot of spanners in works, very hard to be able to counter-ban this team that's coming in with all of these different strategies that are so diverse.
Yeah, I mean, moving on into Fracture, obviously, you know, we saw it, we didn't see it last series, but it's a map that it seems to be kind of one of Polaris's favorites. It's an interesting one because it's so divisive, this map, both in terms of how it's played and how many people like it, but it's becoming kind of a nice little specialty for Polaris, for Northern Europe. We're seeing a lot of teams pick this one up, and it feels like something that a lot of people are comfortable on. It does have very interesting play styles that do suit a lot of the picks that a lot of these teams go for.
Yeah, and very diverse metas as well, especially when you look at the duelist role. Some teams have entirely abandoned the duelist role and will play chamber in the duelist role instead. Other teams will grab a Raze or a Neon. Sometimes we see the Viper coming on through, even though Viper has been hit with a nerf, so you can't go quite through as punishing the cycle of your utility as you used to be able to, but Toxin Screen can still be extremely efficient at being able to cut off places like Tower, which with that double focus really is one of those crutches for the defense to be able to hold on to. We're seeing a lot of people try and go for the flank routes when they're pressing in, so you sort of go move through link into defender's spawn if you're pushing onto that A site, so you're constantly pulling attention. It's a tug of war between all of those teams, and you really can lean into the fact that attackers have two different positions that they can spawn into, whereas the defenders, they're bunched up. It's a sandwich of pain. They're stuck right in the middle.
Yeah, and our last map, the tiebreaker, is going to be Split if we get to there. Obviously, Finest, they have not gone so far without losing the first map in the first 2 weeks. We can take a look at the team comps here, and we can see exactly what everybody's going for here on Haven. Breach, once again, very normal coming into this one, but only one Omen. We're not seeing an Omen, but there it is. There it is.
It worked! The summoning circle didn't quite summon Yoru, but you know what?
I'm so sorry.
I don't care. I get to see Fade.
Yeah, to be fair, Fade has finally been picked. How once did you say it was picked before this in Polaris? So we are seeing the second pick here of Fade in Polaris. It's an evolution. We're going straight into things. Here it comes. There are 3 people left alive. There's only 1 person left alive on the side of Finest. But what's happening? Kix, he's going off already on the breach. 2 kills, making it a 1v2. Doing a little more damage to Vicious, but in the end, it looks like. Hold on, Kix. With that, there we go. KOVA won the. Okay, we're having some troubles with the HUD. That's fine. KOVA take the first round. Well, I mean, Kix brought back 3 members there, so a pretty difficult round actually for KOVA to win.
They diff. It's the first time I get to say it, Twiggy. I'm so happy. It's actually really interesting that KOVA picked it, because KOVA were actually the ones who played against the only ever first pick of Fade against Heath. And it seems like they've decided they're going to take that strategy and run with it. As they are going to opt into that second round. Marshall going to be coming out from Vicious. Shed getting super aggressive, helped alongside L, who can use those parallels, buys a lot of space. Very similar to the Trailblazer, you get a lot of information. Unfortunately, not able to land the kill onto Destructive, who is on the Omen going to be able to take out the Fade, and now the team can start to look towards that A side if they want to. They still have to bypass Shed, who is just waiting to catch players out as they come through sewers, though.
Yeah. Unfortunately, just gonna head straight in, but flashed up, it doesn't matter. Kix is gonna find the kill. Shed is round the corner trying to hold him down. He'll take one down, gets out the classic, but Bonkar is there with the frenzy to make sure he doesn't do any more damage for the team. Vicious stunned up by the fault line, has to back all the way out. It's Machina, though, coming in all the way from behind. Jesmond right in his sights, the headhunter in his hand. One shot will do it, and there it is. Absolutely no worries whatsoever there. It's just Vicious left, headhunter in his own hand, and he does have a Marshall there to be able to retake this one, but everybody in such a different position. The shoulder peaks coming through. Bonkar will take Vicious out, and Finest, they take back the round they lost by surprise there.
Yeah, 1-1. Finest not really expecting that level of aggression at the first half. This time, they are being a little bit more passive, waiting to see, allowing KOVA to make the first moves. They've got a Neon. This was something that we saw get punished in that first series, right? When the Neon would just book it up a long straight in to try and catch players as they moved out of lobby. And it is now something that we are seeing getting punished. Finest, once again, doing that very sort of slower play. Wait for the Neon to reveal themselves, stay in position, and then catch them as they come out. Shed this time's going to go aggressive, but taking a different approach. It's going to be through sewers. Still finds the same result.
Yeah, not quite getting the impact that they would have wanted there, and Finest get 4 kills to open things up. If you want one player left alive to try and get some exit frags, it is probably going to be the one that gets a pretty much free Sheriff. There's one. 100 credits and 1 kill. Ooh, not quite getting the second, though. The Chamber of Machina will be able to take him down. And only 1 casualty there for Finest. Just give them all of that more money. Look at that, 5,000 almost for every player. They can actually buy up into this round without worrying.
Yeah, and we saw a little tease of the Terror Trail as well. Fade having that unique ability of when some of her utility spots out those players, it does connect a 13-second tether that then tracks their movement to the letter. If you do jump, the Terror Trail will follow, and that information can be absolutely massive in setting up these flanks for Vicious. And now on a rifle round, it's even more deadly. Finest are going to have to constantly watch their backs to see whether or not he's going to be popping up behind them.
Yassine just offers himself up as bait. Nobody from KOVA turns around the corner to take the kill. He was just standing there stunned up, waiting for somebody to take him on. Ale manages to get Kix, and that's actually a very impactful pick onto Finest. Moving into this one, Kix, one of the biggest fraggers for the team, especially as the initiator there. Prowler is going to stun up one player. They'll have to move all the way back. But Finest have got in behind with a teleport in towards Heaven. Just waiting there. If Jesmond and Vicious can keep him back, it doesn't matter though, but here's Destructive up in Heaven. Already found 1 kill. It's a 2v3, sorry. In a way, Finest can pinch these guys, but they're just sending away Bonkar to get that spike down. Destructive with a fake teleport.
Trying to just bait out, use the sign Q, keep KOVA's attention on the A side as Bonkar. So actually, with the spike all the way on the other side of the map, does not know that the bait has been taken, that no one is on the sea, forced to shoot out that little bit of chamber utility, is going to reveal the position, but can now get that plan and potentially pull back. This is what is dangerous for KOVA. They do still have the Fade, but you don't have the Haunt. You don't know where the Sova is going to be playing. No one is expecting him to pop out from window. This could be absolutely deadly, but Bonka doesn't actually take the angle. He's going to stick in garage. He's going to wait for the sound of that diffuse to start going through and then peek out.
I understand the decision making. It was planted for garage there. If you go for that flank through CT, you lose out on that opportunity to be able to take the diffuser by surprise, but Vicious is ready and waiting to take his head off. And Bonkar won't manage to get that clutch out. It's 2-all now, but Finest, they weren't really needing to win that round. They can fully buy into this without much of a problem, and it's KOVA really who have the economical difficulties because they spent all their money buying up into that last round.
Well, Finest do have a lot of ultimates that they can use to get themselves onto those sites and put those rifles to work. I'm going to be keeping an eye on Ale. He has the Nightfall available. If Finest try and push onto one of these sides, you can return that Rolling Thunder with the Nightfall ability that does cut the noise, it's going to make it a little bit harder for fans to try and observe where KOVA are playing from. But once again, KOVA getting super aggressive. Shed getting so much space for the rest of the team that Jasmine's actually able to find Machina, and suddenly Finest lose a lot of information gathering potential.
I feel like Shed might have been able to do a little more there if he didn't stun himself. Bounced off of the wrong part of the wall. Oh, Destructive gets a lot of damage done. Was that by Bonka? Did Bonka just shock dart his own teammate?
So
I think it was a preemptive to try and get rid of.
The Nightfall came through,
Yeah.
which connected with Destructive, and it acts like the Viper Decay. So you do get hit, and then your HP starts to creep back up, which is why he is now back to 90.
Yeah. Well, here we go. They still have to hold off this site, and they have utilized quite a bit of their utility to keep them just back a little bit. Yassin is going to jump up on top of that, but misses it, and out comes that Rolling Thunder to get them in towards site. Ale round the corner is low, but Sutma gets one with the Aftershock, and they can just keep him over the edge of this Cosmic Divide. Bonka left alone once again, and a lot of work to do in a 1v5 to retake this. Vicious isn't going to let it happen. With the Tour de Force, they make it a flawless 5th round to get 3 on the board.
Yeah, Ale using that, your ultimate, really able to put a lot of power in, but then Jasmine as well, just using the Cosmic Divide, making Finest really struggle to move out from sewers onto that ace that you can see. Right, they try and push up forward, they try and get the spike down, and KOVA just immediately retaliates. And there's not a lot that Finest can do. Half of their players are stuck on one side of the Cosmic Divide, half of the players on the other. And KOVA starting to look really strong. That was a round that Finest wanted to take. They threw in a Rolling Thunder of their own to try and be able to push onto site, and it did not pay off.
Well, I have to see what Finest come up with here. I mean, they're banking on buying into this one. They don't quite have the Tour de Force yet. They need to make some space happen before they can do that, obviously. There are no real ult orbs that are easy to get on this map for the attackers. They do manage to get themselves some space. Bonkar is going to use the Hunter's Fury to find a kill as well. I think that was mostly just a zoning ult, but they figured out that Jessamine was there, and then suddenly, oh, well, we can get a kill on that one. We have the Tour de Force available now. Now they can just play it a little slower.
Yeah, you're not going to look that gift horse in the eye. And Hunter's Fury able to find that pick onto Jasmine means a lot of that delay potential for KOVA is now removed. But Vicious is going to bite back. Shed peeking out from doors. He's going to be able to pick up one very quickly, traded off by kicks. But Finest not really having the pieces in place to push onto these sites. They're forced to just sniff around, hoping that KOVA reveal themselves, and they do find themselves losing that round. KOVA, despite a little bit of an iffy start with that Hunter's Fury able to pick up that Astra, recover. And it's a costly round for Finest. This was one that they wanted to buy into. This is one that is fueling the buy that we are now seeing, as KOVA sensing that their opponents are not going to be coming in with rifles, that they're not going to be equipped to come with an operator of their own. They're going to be playing their best card. They know that Tour de Force just got invested from Machina, and it found squat.
Let's see. What can Finest do in this round? They do pick up a Spectre here. Kix wants to do a little bit of damage at the very least, so they're definitely going to be looking to get kills in this round, if not a little bit of space and the round win. I'll move forward. Machina holding down Garden towards Avat. Prowler is not going to find him, but is going to give away his location either way. You can see that Shed has just taken so much positioning on A long, just to try and take map control while they can. They know Finest are playing it slowly to begin with, so they can just sit back there, and Shed will eventually get that kill onto Bonkar now. There's only 4 players left remaining for Finest, and they need to make a push happen somewhere. It looks like it's going to be Garage all the way through window. Just trying to get all the way around. I don't know how Jesmond hasn't seen somebody here. Sutma holding down CT, but everybody's going to come around the corner right now. A brilliant flash, but Kix is the first to find a kill. Sutma holding down the site, and Shed takes 2 down. Sutma takes 1 more. It's only Machina left. Vicious overkill with the operator headshot. Manages to get the round finished out. It was looking okay for Finest there, but just not quite having the firepower to deal with them.
Yeah, it's the synergy as well. You can tell that for KOVA, this is a roster that have played together for a very long time. The fact that, yes, the flash comes through, you don't find a lot of value with it. Desmond actually doesn't find the first pick, but you can see the follow-up is there. The attempt is made, and then the Rolling Thunder. is able to finish off the rest. Finest not able to safely transition over from connector onto site to get cut off, as it was a round and outcome that we expected, but it still wasn't as costly as they wanted to try and force KOVA out from this operator
Wow.
pick, as once again Vicious just able to find Machina and just wins the duel, takes the operator from Finest out of the equation, and suddenly you're forced back onto an eco potentially.
Yeah, the rest of Finest was so occupied with taking mid control that nobody could break that Prowler for him. They do get into C for it though, so maybe it was a good choice. Shed managing to get 1 kill before he backs up, knowing that it's a fight that he's not going to win 99 times out of 100. Aldrone to keep Ale back. He takes some shots onto Destructive through the wall, but is blinded all the way up. Oh, but he's turning around the corner at the wrong time. Ale takes another one down. Shed onto Bonkar. They'll get another round on the board, and it just seems like Finest can't quite find an answer to anything that KOVA are bringing out on the defense. It's so close from Finest, they just can't quite cross that line.
Smart fade play just put such a big smile on my face. Ali throws in the C's into window, which taps you in place unless you can TP out of it, and then goes for the attempt on the wall bang, knowing that they're stuck in the circle. He isn't able to find the pick with it, but able to just pepper in the damage and then can finish it off once the C's runs its course. And for Finest, this was a round where they bought into an operator. They wanted to go toe-to-toe with Vicious. It did not pay off, and the fact that they went all the way through mid, they gave up entrance to C long, allowing Shed to hold in Cubby, super aggressive for a Neon, and entirely unpunished.
Oh, that's some aggressive fade play coming through here. Shed is just right round the corner, waiting for them to push through. He'll find 3 and 4. Bonkar down as well. It's just Machina left, and he knows that his life is pretty much over. Shed is just going to back up and give them that space, because Machina, what can you even do with it? Vicious in mid. We'll take him down with the operator.
Oh man, KOVA looking so strong. I bet, Twiggy, you're kicking yourself. We were talking before the game. You were thinking of maybe going with KOVA in your predictions on this one. And at the moment, if they continue to just run freely with this composition, where they are just having so much synergy with each other, right? The Nebula is perfectly placed for Shed to get all of that first contact with Finest, and Finest have no idea. They're playing blind on where that Neon can be.
Yeah. I mean, look, Finest, they still haven't won map 1 yet, so far, so maybe this is just a pattern, but we'll see. The Prowler once again to try and give them some space. It's very similar setups every time from KOVA, and Finest so far have not adapted well enough to be able to take a round from them in that sense. It's really just been Finest coming up with something different that has got them something, but so far they haven't been able to displace KOVA, and that's the problem here. The Rolling Thunder will get them into sight. Kicks comes through, Machina comes around from behind and takes down Jesmond, takes another one. Now only 1 player left in Vicious. If anybody can do it, that operator, Vicious, can definitely get those kills on the board, but it's going to be difficult in a 1v3 on A site.
I mean, you've got the Tour de Force as well, but you don't really want to invest it in this round, especially because so much time has passed. You don't know where Finest are going to be playing from. Is actually going to swap to the Headhunter. Destructive playing on vertical. Going to be a little bit harder to displace. 83 HP. Was able to find a little bit of damage to pepper onto Vicious through that dark cover. Vicious still able to find the pick. Gonna eke his way into heaven. Still has the operator looking for any head, still peeking over. Manages to get the flick onto Yassine. Going to try and find another player, but too much time has passed. Machina wisely going to be pulling out, keeping the Vandal to themselves. And Vicious is probably just gonna die on this pick.
Yeah, loses the operator, but still has the Tour de Force available, so can just use that in this next round no matter what, and has so much money that it really doesn't matter if you save that weapon or not. I mean, they're just sitting on their bankroll at this point, and I can't believe that the members of Finest invested that much into the end of this round. They had no reason to push up that much, and they lost a lot of economy for it. They're struggling for economy. They just about buy up into this round, but if they had 2 more rifles, they could have bought full armor for Bonker and Yassine.
Yeah, I don't think Yassine actually knew how wide of a crosshair that Vicious actually had on him. It seemed like he was in the jump animation, so trying to bait out that first op shot. Everyone dry peeks. Destructive is going to be immediately punished for that transgression, and now KOVA can get super aggressive. Once again, the round has only just started, and it's just Machina left alone. The Nebula's going to run out He's still in garden. He can't even move to lobby because that's where the tour de force is playing from. And now you're going to be trying to separate these fights into the 1v1s, but Shed is not going to allow it.
It's a flawless round from KOVA, and it's really just showing off exactly what their comp is built around. They have so many options in terms of displacing and being able to keep members in certain places. Obviously, the gravity well and the tether both work in the same way from Ale and Jesmond. But also you got Sutman there to be able to stun people up. Shed has a stun as well. You got Vicious with the tour de force from long range. So they've just got a comp that's really, in my opinion, built around this defense. And they're doing so well with it. If they get this 9th round here, they've made themselves a very good half. I would say this is probably the half they're going to get the most rounds. But either way, they're still going to be able to bring this onto attack and bring something there. And here just comes Shed. Overdrive out. Ball goes up. Just stunned up. That's going to be difficult to get away, and Destructive will find a 2-peat for that one. 2 headshots. It's a good way to open this, but you still need to make the position happen. And that's going to be the difficult part in this round. Oh no, Bonkar isn't ready for Jesmond to turn around the corner here. No. Shock Dart goes out, but he saw him. Ah, Jesmond finds the kill. Vicious also finding Destructive. Jesmond finds one more. It's just Mac on the left. Once again, 1v3. KOVA have turned it around perfectly in this round. Nagano finds one head. Oh, can't quite find Ale's there, though. 9-3 it is for KOVA. Some would say that is a curse, but we'll see.
I mean, for KOVA as well, they really are just using this fade to such good potential. The fact that they lose 2 players in mid, that should be fine. It's able to move on forward, but again, they get stuck in lobby because of the Z's coming through from Ale. Just all of the momentum that they were looking for. Right, the pick comes through into the Neon, and you're like, okay, great, you've got mid control. It's not much space to get out. You don't have a fault line or the stun, so the breach is finally punished. But then Jasmine is able to move it forward. Macken is not able to cross into A long, and all of that momentum just gets dragged out of Finds to Sales as we do see the side swap come through. KOVA now on the attack. And the big difference between Fade and Sova is that Sova is very good with setups. You sit so far away from these fights, you play bouncer to when the spike actually starts to get diffused. Fade, on the other hand, you can play on the front line, you can play with the rest of the team, and that, when you're on Haven with 3 sites, when the defense is always going to be outnumbered on the attacking side, is absolutely brutal if the defenders aren't able to try and even the numbers by finding a first blood.
Finest are going to want to hold KOVA back for as long as possible in this round. This is the half. They really need to bring things back. Obviously, they are 6 rounds behind, but I mean in the sense that, you know, Finest, they weren't really expecting to have as good a half as KOVA in that first half. This is really where they're expecting to get rounds. So if it doesn't work out for them, they need to make it happen quickly. Bonkar will take the first pick, but the Aftershock is going to keep him towards the site. Kick finds Shed, but Ale is on Bonkar as well now. There's 4 players left alive on the Finest side, and they can go for the retake here. Vicious comes in from behind, but can't quite find the head with the Headhunter. Classic round the corner. Does a little bit of damage, not able to find a kill though. Kicks doing work. And Mackinac will take down Jesmond. It is the pistol round that goes to Finest. They're starting things off in this half the way they want to continue them.
Yeah, they can breathe a big sigh of relief. KOVA not yet gonna hit double digits and start pushing their way towards match point, because then the defenders are always thinking, do we want to full buy into this round? Are we gonna have enough cash to be able to full buy, or do we have to force when our enemy is on match point? And for Finest, it is going to be a big deal of winning rounds, but winning rounds cleanly. Their economy has to be in such good shape when KOVA are going to have all of these CCs available, all of these stuns. If they want to just push onto a site, they're going to be able to steamroll over everyone in that path. And for Finest, Mackinac can get out with that rendezvous. It's a little bit harder for the rest of the team to be able to get out unpunished. Haunt going to be coming on through. Shed trying to move off of that information on Bonka up from sewers. Finest doing a very good job of putting enough pressure that KOVA aren't able to move forward. The utility will run its course. And KOVA, despite really trying to aggressively push Finest into taking a fight, are forced to back out from the side and lose time.
Yeah, I think this is definitely the plan from second one, was soak up as much pressure as possible. You can see the way they're doing that. They're stacking players towards areas that are going to be hotly contested, that are going to be pushed in quickly, so that they can get an opening pick and just make sure that KOVA can't really get in too early. So 50 seconds left on the timer, and now is when KOVA are going to be looking towards a site to finish on. You're seen holding down B. Ale throws in. his utility towards the back. The Haunt does catch him, but Bongar finds the opening pick, and now KOVA, they have to rethink things. They're going to head over towards A, where players are still waiting for them. That's the thing here. Bongar right around the corner. He's going to be the first contact, and Kix can just keep him back with an aftershock as well.
Yeah, and Bonka now set up in position, can play bouncer so that no one can make their way up through ramps. Kicks with a little bit of pressure, doesn't allow a free passage from sewers, and it is just the gun straight down. Peek out from your cover, you get the shots to connect, everyone does enough chip damage, even though Ali is there with the spike, you've got 11 seconds left. Bonka just needs to peek out from ramps, but is actually going to let the spike plant go through.
Yeah.
And suddenly, Ali is just alone with a Spectre trying to make any sort of damage happen, and it's not going to be today.
Okay. Understandable from Boncar. At first I was like, why is he not peeking? But his teammates were all the way back over towards B. That makes sense. So well played in the end. Finest, with a well-formulated round. They did lose 2 players, so obviously, you know, because KOVA brought up into that one, had similar economy in terms of weaponry. But it's a good formulation from Finest, and this is really, I'm expecting to see where Finest actually bringing something into the game that's going to give them some rounds. So they got 2 on the board in this second half, and that's a really good way to start things off. They've got some bankroll, they've lost a lot of economy in this one, but they'll be pretty happy with how they've started here.
Yeah, and this is something we're seeing as well come in more and more often now. Finest is going to be falling into that sort of mentality of a couple of us are going to be running SMGs. We're going to give 2 of our main players that we're expecting to be able to move forward into aggressive positions and hold these hotly contested areas, a rifle, so that we can still have a lot of threat, a lot of damage, and chew through any armor that KOVA has tried to invest on. And this Marshal is going to have a lot of work cut out for it if it wants to be able to control the space and let the team push in, because at the moment it is seeming to be the B site that KOVA are wanting to try and eye towards, given that the spike is slowly going to be making its way through into window.
Finest are still putting on the scare tactics onto KOVA here. Again, 50 seconds left in the round, and now is the first time they're really looking towards a site. Trying to hold down Garage, but they were just held away from there. And you can see that Finest now nicely spread across the map to make sure they soak up as much pressure as possible. It's going well for them. We'll see if it works out for them against these Sheriffs, but Shed is going to be the first to enter the site. He gets around the fault line, but doesn't get around the headshot from Kix. Aftershock to displace him, and 1 player is down, 2 players are down. There are the Sheriffs coming into full fruition for KOVA. They can get in towards site, they can get the spike down at the very least. That Sack is going to do a lot. Ali backed into a corner, gets taken out. Vicious though with the Headhunter again. Machina takes 1 down, but it's just Sutma who just manages to get it done. KOVA, an eco round, and those Sheriffs come up massively for them, and it's just well space taken.
Yeah, and doing a very good job as well of really playing with Finest. They wait till pretty much the last moment to decide on which site they want, knowing that Finest have devolved into a very passive play of waiting for KOVA to probe forward, Finest then batting back with as little utility as possible while still trying to hold on to those angles. So KOVA know if they show themselves, yes, there's going to be a little bit of contention, but it's not going to be enough that Finest feel confident to walk forward and translate into a kill. And that's something that KOVA do a really good job of, just kiting Finest around, making sure that when they push onto the A side, yes, the fault line's there, but Kix very quickly falls, and the rest of the team are just not in position to help out.
In they move. Shed with the opening pick. Boncar has to hold things off by himself. Bucky in hand finds 1. Ali there with the trade. Can get the spike down now. But 1 casualty for them. They want to bring as much of this economy into the next round as possible. It's not a convincing buy. Finest just looking to take away some of these weapons from them. 3 players left. They're going to wait for that player to come round from behind, and then they're going to go in together and try and, or maybe just play 4 exits. Obviously they don't have to go in. It'd be nice if they could push in and kind of keep them away, but Jesmond in, he comes from B. That's going to stop them from getting in towards site. Yassine taken down over towards their own spawn. Now it's Destructive who tries to take out Jesmond. He finds 1, and he'll just take out the Sheriff for the 2nd kill onto Kix. I mean, that's as close to a flawless round as you can get after what happened at the start of that round for KOVA.
Yeah, and we were worried about KOVA, right? We were looking at the composition, we were like, yeah, this is going to be very good for defense, very good for shutting Finest's pushes down. That's something we're really yet to see from Finest. we talked about it a little bit in the previous round. They do like to show a little bit of contention in these fights when KOVA do show themselves and try to take space, but it's not the sort of immediate massive stop sign that signals KOVA to get back, and it never really translates into the first blood. Now we're seeing the buy up into the operator from Machina. It has to translate into a pick. But Shed is doing such a good job of just sliding through the gravity while actually going to be holding Yassine in place. And there's no way that the Raze is going to be able to survive to try and land the showstopper.
Well, Destructive will find 2 kills, though, and that slows down KOVA at the very least. They're going to get the hell out of there. Jesmond finds some space on C, but Machina's waiting for him. Only 2 players left. KOVA have kind of been slowed down quite well here. Kix finds 1, not able to take down Ale as well. Prowler try and take some space. Now stunned up, and well, there are players coming in from both sides. The Owl drone through window. Oh, he's going to use that opportunity to try and get round Bonkar, but I think Bonkar's aware that that could happen. Gets out of that Owl drone as quick as possible. And now Ale is back where he was a minute ago. In his own spawn with the spike. Lovely.
Well, he does have the spike, and if you look what Finest are holding, they're expecting it to be either C or B, so if Ale moves towards A, should be able to find a clear passage, but Ali's going for... Oh no!
Wow.
Ali was going to check mid was clear. Bonka is separated and shredded, and now it's a 1 versus 1, and Ali is going to have so much utility to play off of. Knows now, with the C's, that you can control. You can stop Machina from trying to move forward and stop that spike from going down. Expecting it to be from heaven though, so might not already be expecting Machina to be this close onto this site.
No!
He isn't gonna see it! The headhunter misses, but thankfully the pistol picks it up. And Machina will allow Finest to start to recover their economy and pick up the operator once more.
My man had an operator and turned around the corner with a headhunter with 2 bullets in it trying to hit that head. Missed both of them, brings out the classic, and somehow gets 2 headshots with that. This is a classic case of, you know, you have such great weaponry that you just choke it. In the end, does manage to find the kill. I'm not 100% sure what Ali was looking at. I think he did like 2 180s at least there. Wait, let's take a look. 1, 2, there we go. Yeah, okay, well, I mean, it works out in the end for Finest, and they do get 6 rounds on the board. Now they have a tour de force, and they have the rest of that economy, and Shed is just going to walk straight into that tour de force, and that'll slow down KOVA once again, and that's a position they don't want to be in.
Yeah, they were really wanting that Neon to just blitz the path into Garage so that the rest of the team can move up C long. It is actually going to force the Cosmic Divide from Jasmine's Astra, but Destructive is still able to pick out Vicious. Rolling Thunder comes through from Kix now that KOVA have actually tried to really aggress in, but Summer is the one who's able to find the 2 picks. KOVA still kept at arm's length though, not able to get the spike onto the site, and instead have to try and wait to see whether or not Finest are going to allow safe passage, let them move a little bit closer forward, and then shoot them as they try and get that one planted in the ground, because this is a very long wraparound.
Yeah, I mean, Yassine just said, oh, none of my teammates can win a 1v1 gunfight against Sutma here. Here's a showstopper, have fun. You're in a place where you literally cannot get away from it. Well, interestingly, Finest have wrapped all the way around the 2 attackers, and they're going to try and get on site. Look, it's free! Never mind. Kix comes in from behind. Easy 2 kills. Bonkar somehow did not manage to get a kill there. I don't know what happened. Kix stole both from him.
Oh, that's always a sore point of contention. But hey, at least for Finest, they're able to start recovering. Remember, it was 9-3 going into the side swap coming on through. They look a lot more comfortable. On the defense, their economy is starting to recover. They've got the operator still in play. They've got Hunter's Fury, so that even if KOVA are able to get close to one of these sites, they do have the ultimates to be able to shut them down. And we do know how aggressive Shed has liked to go on this Neon. It is the one thing that Finest have been able to take advantage of every single time. It feels like that KOVA have lost a round on this attack. Machina this time is actually going to be caught out by the stun. Normally plays the operator towards C, instead now knows that Shed likes to go for this very sort of sprint style down A long, is looking to punish it. But once more, KOVA apply a little bit of pressure, Finest use a little bit of utility, give away where they're positioned, and then KOVA say, okay, thanks for the info, we're gonna go a different area.
Jasmine goes, you know what, here, you have a Hunter's Fury, have fun with that, but it doesn't matter. He does manage to find 1 tag with the Hunter's Fury either way. Shed moves all the way up into window, but Destructive is the one holding down the site. 2 headshots before Jessamine can get in there, but Shed comes in from behind with the overdrive. 3v3 now, holding down the site. The spike is going to go down. It's a good paint grenade to push Jessamine over towards the side, but not looking the correct direction. Shed is in the back of sight. Jessamine finds one more. It's Shed to find the head of Machina as well in a split second, and they are on match point.
Yeah, the Finest have to string together 5 rounds in a row if they want to be able to take this first map and stop that curse, their streak of losing that first map in their engagements. And we are seeing a really good adaptation coming through from this defense's position. I love the fact that they've moved away from having players in very hotly contested areas to now anchoring towards the C, knowing that KOVA likes to move onto that site very quickly. And then when it comes to the A site, making sure that you just don't have control of long, always having your chamber post up super deep to try and see whether Shed is going to be going for that very aggressive style play of letting KOVA move off of it. But that is not a good start coming out from Finest.
Yeah, I get the feeling it's also not going to be a good end. The final 2 players hold up in garage. Destructive preemptively teleports to A. From the shadows, does not find anybody. Commits it. Shed fights ahead of your scene though. To 1v4. Destructive to give his team another chance to come back into this one. 5 rounds to make up to get it back to a 12-12. His first challenge is going to come in the form of Vicious, holding down the flank, waiting for somebody to come around the back here. There is an opportunity where he can get round, but Vicious comes in from behind. That's a finish. 13-7 to KOVA, and Finest, in Finest fashion, do lose their first map.
KOVA looking extremely strong, showcasing the latest agent. She is playable! She is viable! It is lovely to get to see the compositions and the synergies that you really can pull off, right? There was some really good cohesion coming through. We were getting to see the C's coupled up with some